here with Yoga 101. Some technical difficulties here. We'll get going in about 5 minutes. I might have to use my phone. All right, so we're still going. All right, maybe they resolve themselves. Best kind of difficulties to have. Anyway, grab a mat, grab some water. Great news is I'm also teaching some live classes down at the club on the roof. It's a nice environment. It's tucked in a little valley, so it's nice and warm for the most part. It is San Francisco. But in addition to this video or any other videos that you see on my Facebook feed, please feel free to come down to the club and practice with me live. It's really fun. Anyway, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Why did you move this way? Move it now?
Let's move it now.
You're already live.
I know. Well, they want you to go 5 minutes early to see what's happening. All right, stand this way. Welcome to Yoga 101. This is my daughter Josephine. She'll practice along with us. If you've been following these classes, you've seen her before. Feel free to comment. One nice thing about Facebook Live is I can see what your thoughts are real time if you choose to type them in. I particularly appreciate any feedback as to whether you can hear me, whether I'm too loud. Just stuff that we can get a better quality class online here. Cool. So, finding our feet. From our feet, finding our legs. From our legs, finding our spine. Relax shoulders long through all sides of the neck as your crown reaches up towards the sky. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A slight tuck of the chin without losing any space in the neck as we start to take our attention inward. And we can start by watching our breath as it flows in and as it flows out, arriving here on our yoga mats, ready for an afternoon yoga practice. Just observing the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. From this place of just observing your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation matched by a long, slow exhalation. As you breathe in, bringing the air to the top of the chest, base of the belly, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. As you breathe out, either keeping the belly soft and letting the air whoosh out, or adding a constriction to the low belly in and up towards the heart to get a little more air out. Get this deeper, fuller breath, moving towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a go-to breath in many flow practices. A slight constriction to the base of the throat to add a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice tonight, letting the sound and feel of your Ujjayi breath be a focus for your practice, often compared to the sounds of the waves of the ocean as the waves wash in and as the waves wash out. Now tip of the tongue to the hard palate just behind the teeth. Hard to see, hard to demonstrate, but it's a great way to work the tongue anytime you're exercising, keeping your jaw relaxed and connecting front and back planes of your body. Finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face, a Mona Lisa smile, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping all this, if you closed your eyes, I'll invite you to open your eyes and bring your hands by your side. Warming up our shoulders, connecting with our breath, keeping it simple. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhaling, arms back down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. One more time. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Adding a forward fold. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, leading with the heart as you fold. Take a breath to find length as you lift chin and tail. Exhaling, tucking chin and tail as we fold again. Inhaling, neutral spine, hinging at the hips, arms up and over the head. Exhaling, standing tall. 2 more times like this. Inhaling, up. Exhaling, over. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. 1 more time. Inhaling, up. Exhaling, over. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. Surya Namaskar. Inhaling, up. Exhaling, over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, either back to down dog and holding, or cycling through vinyasa as you find chaturanga, the yoga push-up. Inhaling into up dog or cobra, hips either stay down or they lift up off the floor. And then exhaling back to your down dog shape. Wherever you choose to work, finding that balance between your effort and your ease. Wherever you choose to work, breathing, watching that breath, and enjoying that reflection upon your breath. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you mindfully make your way from. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. Second one, just like the first. Inhaling, up. Exhaling, over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or skipping all that and just stretching straight back. Let your body, let your breath make the call. Wherever you choose to work, breathing and watching that breath and enjoying your reflection upon your breath. And that's what makes it yoga. One more long, slow breath here. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. Let's work one Surya Namaskar B. Starts with a chair pose, knees over toes, hands over head. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog, as you will. I'm going to put a little soundtrack on here. If it interrupts the class in any way, please let me know. From down dog, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Finding a three-legged dog, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Now looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot on through, finding your warrior one as you spin that back heel down, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge, and from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Now looking between the hands, sweeping that left foot on through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge, and then back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Nice. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to your hands, lots of space between each finger as we solidly ground down into the ground. Drawing the energy up from the ground into the shoulders, either keeping the neck relaxed and the head heavy or long through all sides of the neck as you make your focus your navel. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. On the inhale, stay low. We'll come to our chair pose. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, standing tall. So Namaskar C, it'll be an extended standing pose sequence. We'll start with our chair pose. Taking our chair lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big Sawanda over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog, as you will. From down dog, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Lifted leg straight as you stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. Maybe looking under the armpit, trying to catch a glimpse of that foot. And then sweeping that right foot on through, spinning the back heel down as we find our warrior one. In warrior one, I'll invite you to bring hands back to your hips. If appropriate, we can shift weight onto the front foot and go a little longer in our stance.
It's inappropriate for me.
Then don't do it. From here, we can bring hands onto shoulders, squaring our shoulders front, and reminding those shoulders to stay relaxed. From here, we can find a clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, and then stretching those hands high. With the breath, we can straighten the front leg as we gather up the energy, exhaling, finding this letter W shape. A couple more times, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, lifting up. Breathing out, finding this shape and holding. So we bring the elbows back, the hands come with. Feel free to wiggle those fingers, keeping our hands supple. From here, let's turn warrior one into warrior two. As we surf hands to heart, we open up the hips to face side wall. We might kick that back foot in just a tad for heel to arch alignment. And then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, let's paint three rainbows. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling, warrior two. And I'll invite you to find a rainbow warrior, either staying upright as we clasp the fingers behind the back, shoulder blades back and down, open heart, open throat. Or some of you at home, I don't think Josephine likes this move. We take a forward fold inside the front leg.
It's the only pose I hate, and you put it into practice.
You should all
Find a different yoga model next time.
One of my teachers said in any practice you should do one pose you absolutely love and one pose you absolutely hate.
I absolutely hate
Having
it.
said that, to be honest, he was a jerk. So, those of you that took the forward fold will come back up to our warrior two. From here, moving towards our triangle pose, another basic pose here. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. We deepen the crease, we lengthen those ribs. Keeping a little spring in the knee, we ground bottom hand down in an appropriate place. We can set that top shoulder. We can stretch hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up past those top fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. As we hold our triangle with every in-breath, gathering energy in your center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel. Every time you breathe out, sending that energy out through both arms, both legs, both ends of the spine as you make yourselves bigger in space from the inside out. Adding breath and movement to our triangle, exploring our lateral top line as we exhale that top hand front, little quarter twist to the torso as we turn heart to the floor, inhaling, lifting hand up as we lift heart to sky. Couple more times, exhaling and inhaling, exhaling and inhaling, exhaling. Now let's have that bottom hand join. Let's take that little quarter twist out of the torso. We'll breathe 2 hands up, pure side motion. We'll breathe 2 hands over. And let's do that 2 more times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing and breathing out. Either coming back to our triangle pose or playing with the half moon as hand finds the hip. We scoot the back foot in, setting our base right hand off to the right, lifting that back leg, setting the shoulder, stretching hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky. As we hold this shape, just like before, with the in-breath gathering energy in your center of balance, with the out-breath sending energy out into the universe. Coming down with grace and control as hand finds the hip. We bend the standing leg, back foot low. 2 feet find the floor as we find our warrior 2. And then I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as we find low lunge. And from low lunge back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Another choice at any point in the practice might be a child's pose, always treating yourself with the respect you deserve in terms of your energy level, where you want to go. This is all about you. And of course, wherever you choose to work, breathing, watching that breath, and enjoying that reflection upon your breath. Always feeling free to stay wherever you are. From down dog, we'll move towards the second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that leg, opening up that hip. I'll invite you to look under the armpit to try to catch a glimpse of that foot. And then sweeping that left foot on through. Spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for our warrior 1. Hands come back to the hips as we lengthen our stance if appropriate. If you're at your max, just stay right there. From here, we can use those hands to square the shoulders front and just remind those shoulders to stay relaxed. Finding the other clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, and then stretching those hands high to the sky. With the breath, gathering up the energy, exhaling, offering it out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And I'll invite you to hold this shape. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. You might make fists with the hands, keeping our hands supple. And we'll turn 1 into 2. As hands find the heart, we open up the hips. You might narrow the stance just a tad. And then looking out over those front fingers with that mixture of effort and ease. Now painting 3 rainbows, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, finding your warrior 2. And then moving towards your rainbow warrior with or without the forward fold. stretching the shoulders away from the ears, open heart, open throat, fourth and fifth chakra, and either staying here or adding the forward fold. If you do add the forward fold, neck relaxed, head heavy, or making your drishti, your eye focus, your navel, as you lengthen through all sides of the neck. If you chose to take that forward fold, bringing it on up as we come back to our warrior two.
Phew.
Woo! Turning it into the triangle. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib, deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. The I'm a little teacup transition. And then grounding bottom hand down in an appropriate place. Setting that shoulder, stretching hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky. As we hold this shape for 3 or 4 breaths, with every in-breath finding your center of balance. In Chinese movement practice, they call it the Dantian. Breathing into the Dantian, 3 fingers below the navel. And as you breathe out, sending that energy out into the universe. Now adding breath and movement, I'll invite you to exhale that top hand front as we turn heart to the floor. Inhaling, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. 2 more times. Exhaling. And inhaling. Exhaling. And inhaling. Exhaling. Now the bottom hand joins. No twist to the torso. Pure side motion. We breathe 2 hands up. And exhale it over. 2 hands up. Exhale it over. 2 hands up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach. Again, I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. And then either back to Trikonasana, the triangle, or finding your half moon as you scoot that back foot in. Left hand off to the left, setting your base. I like a lot of space between the foot and the hand. We can set the shoulder. We can stretch hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky. Again, working with that Dantian, that center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel, letting that be the center of the shape. Another word for this pose, when we teach kids, it's a starfish pose. So just like a starfish has those wonderful long limbs that extend in all directions. From here, coming down with grace and control, hand finds the hip, we bend the standing leg, back foot low, finding our warrior two. And then a big windmill of the arms as we find low lunge, and from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. Take your time. One of the beauties of a home practice is that you can do exactly what you want. You can do the same thing in a live practice too. But
can I?
Yes, you can, at least in my class. I love it when people get creative. And I think that's the beauty of a flow practice, that there is some space for creativity. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. On the inhale, finding your chair pose, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, hands by our side. I'll allow you to bring hands to heart. A light press of the thumbs against the sternum. Relax shoulders long through all sides of the neck as we tuck our chin ever so slightly, bringing our attention back inward. And then hands by our side. So let's play with a balance pose, one of my faves. It's a nice hip opener too. It's external rotation. It's the standing half lotus, standing figure 4. Hands find the hips. Let's shift weight onto left foot as our right foot gets light. We can bend that left leg. A bent knee tends to be more reactive to the various things that are going on in terms of the balance. We'll bring right ankle on top of the left thigh, above the knee. We want to send both hips down at the same rate. So if we're sitting in a chair, Either keeping hands on hips or hands find the heart. Either keeping hands at heart or stretching hands high. If hands went high, they can come back to the hips. We can straighten that standing leg without locking the knee. We can lift this right knee high, the toe points down. Either staying here or leaning a little bit forward as we go long through that leg. You might think of that leg as an antenna, drawing energy from the universe into that Dantian. From here, let's sweep that foot through, lining up the heels, heel to heel alignment. That's your warrior one alignment. But if that's too narrow, you could always go wider. Bodies come in different shapes, different sizes. We have different needs. So make sure you take care of yourself. From here, finding a length of stance that's appropriate. I like to go a little bit longer. I tend to go short initially. Other people aren't that way. From here, we can relax and square those shoulders. Finding a clasp with the fingers behind the head, open heart, open throat. And then I'll invite you to find a tray in front. Breathing in as we gather energy into our center of balance. On the exhale, circling it as we offer that energy out. Let's do that a couple more times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And let's hold this shape. Elbows move back, the hands come with. Wiggle those fingers, why not? And from here, let's move into a twist. Hand to the front leg, I got left leg front, catches that hip. We're going to find length on the right side, reaching up, straightening that front leg without locking the knee. On the exhale, we're going to reach, reach, reach. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhale, reach, reach, reach. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhale, reach, reach, reach. And let's give ourselves some room to work. We're going to spin that back heel up. It's going to be a little tippier, but we'll have more space. We can start the twist with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, either keeping hand on hip or finding your prayer hands, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up past that top elbow with that steady yet relaxed gaze. If you found those prayer hands, as you press the palms together, feel the shoulder blades anchoring back and down onto the back. Nice place to feel that openness in the heart chakra, fourth chakra, our community. A little lift of the chin here as we open up fifth chakra, communication, the throat chakra. Coming out of our twist easily as we frame front foot with both hands. Let's take a big step in with that back foot, lining up the heels, big angle on that back foot. If you have some phone books or some yoga blocks, you might grab those. Otherwise, keep that front knee bent as we fold over that front leg. As we hold the shape, neck relaxed, head heavy, or lengthening through all sides of the neck as you look back towards your navel. So in this Parsvottanasana, this pyramid pose, let's move between warrior one hips and warrior two hips. So warrior one hips face front, warrior two hips face the side. And I'll cue it a little bit here, but then just feel free to take off. We can swing the hips out to the side and back front. So it's more orientation to the hips, sideways and front. We're not really swinging side to side too much, but if you did want to, you feel a little swing, go for it, why not? Just juicing up those hips, inviting more prana, more life force. In these days of work at home, a lot of times we sit in chairs for hours. So anytime we can kind of wake up those hips where some of the energy may have congealed during the day, it's a good thing. Now I'll invite you to bring those hips back to warrior one hips, both hips face front, and we'll move towards the revolve triangle. Let's bring left hand to the sacrum, the palm faces up as if we're holding water. We can walk the right hand in, either big toe side or crossing the wrist over the ankle. Trying to keep the hips level, at least initially, lengthening through each side waist as we twist the torso to face front leg. We can set that shoulder, we can stretch hand high. So hips are interesting, we'll all have different shaped hips. I always say try to stabilize the sacrum and twist from the torso, and that's the initial motion. Having said that, if you're in the shape and it feels like
this is still some congestion, it doesn't quite feel right, you can let the hips play a little bit. The idea is we're trying to maximize this first before we let that easier motion happen. Nice. From here, I'll invite you to come out of your revolved triangle easily as we frame front foot with both hands. We can take a big step back as we find our low lunge, and then making yourself back to down dog as you will. So either cycling through vinyasa, stretching straight back. We'll be here a few breaths. If you want to sneak in a child's pose, of course, go for it. Whether you're in down dog as Josephine is here, or if you've chosen that child's pose, two great places to breathe into back lungs. Doing a lot of work with respiration these days, and I believe 60 or 70% of your lung action actually happens in what they call the back lungs. So we want to keep those nice and open, nice and free. Feeling free to stay wherever you are. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding. Let's change it up a little bit here. Let's hold the forward fold as we toe heel our feet wide. Soft knees as we catch opposite elbows and gently swing it from side to side. Neck relaxed, head heavy, getting into those hips. Now switching the cross of the elbows, keep swaying side to side. Now back center. Let's give our backs some help here as we bring hands onto our thighs. And we're going to roll on up as we masterfully stack our vertebrae. But the hands are going to push into the thighs so that the low back doesn't do all the work. Lifting the chin tall to the crown, I'll invite you to find two hands high in the air as if we're holding a big ball. Let's take 3 big full body breaths, and our hands and fingers can mimic our ribs. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And then I'll invite you to bring hands to heart for the inhale. Keeping hands there for the exhale. One more breath here. And then hands by our side. So let's jump it in, thin like a pin. And then we'll move towards that standing half lotus, that standing figure 4 on our second side. As we shift weight onto the right foot, we bend that right knee. So the bent knee really, really helps with those little adjustments. If we try to lock the knee and we're trying to balance, it's like a tree that doesn't bend in the wind. The tree tends to fall over in a big storm. So we're going to keep that knee a little bit bent. We're going to lift that left leg. We're going to bring the ankle on top of the thigh. We want to settle the hips at the same rate as we sit down in an invisible chair. Either keeping hands on hips or hands find the heart. Either keeping hands at the heart or we stretch those hands high. High hands can come back to the hips. We can straighten the standing leg without locking the knee. Left thigh high, the toe points down. Either staying here or leaning a little bit forward as we go long through that leg. Whoa. Lifting that leg a little higher. And then we can sweep it on through as we find warrior 1 prep. Lining up the heels. Now the hips aren't going to square front, but you want to feel back hip moving front hip moving back. Hands find the shoulders. One more time, just relaxing those shoulders. Now finding that clasp of the fingers behind the head, open heart, open throat, 4th and 5th chakra. And then finding that tray in front. Breathing in as we gather energy into the Dantian. On the exhale, offering it out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out and holding. So take a big breath into your heart. And this This letter W shape you can come to at any point in your day. Just a nice stretch. I'm going to demo. Don't follow this particular demonstration. And when we work at home, a lot of times we're on keyboards or on phones. We kind of get to this place. Now we get to find that other place. From here, hand grounds that front hip. We'll find length on the far side, reaching up, and then reaching out. Reaching up, and then reaching out. Reaching up, and then reach. Now let's give ourselves some room to work, even though it'll be more of a balance challenge as we spin the back heel up. We start the twist with the wrist. We slide to the elbow, either keeping hand on hip or finding those pair of hands, either looking down off to the side or up past that top elbow. With that mixture of stira, effort, and ease, sukha. We're twisted, we're balancing, not losing an easeful quality to your breath. One more long, smooth, slow breath here. From here, let's come out of the twist easily as we frame that front foot with both hands. Big step in as we line up the heels, big angle on that back foot, say about 60 degrees. Again, feel free to use phone books, yoga bricks, cans, whatever, just to raise the floor. If you don't have that, you can keep the knee bent. We're just inviting the back of the knee to open up. But be mindful, listen to your hamstring. More importantly, respect what your hamstring has to say. Much like ourselves, our hamstrings, when we get pushed around and forced to do things, we tend to rebel. I know I have that stubborn streak in me. My hamstrings probably share that. If you share that with me and my hamstrings, we always want to invite as opposed to push. Now inviting more prana, more life force into those hips as we change the orientation from warrior one hips to warrior two hips. So hips square front, then hips go to the side. Just let it be fluid. It's more a orientation of the hips as opposed to a side-to-side swing, but if that swing feels like what your hips want, why not, right? One of my friends, who's a dance instructor at the Bay Club, I'm sure it's a line you get from somewhere else, but hips don't lie.
Yeah, it's from Shakira.
It's from Shakira. Okay. I don't know. All you young people and your music. And then we'll come back center. Those hips are square front, moving towards revolved triangle. We bring hand to the sacrum, the palm faces up. We walk the left hand in, big toe side, little toe side. And we'll try to keep the hips level, at least initially, as we maximize that twist of the torso, turning heart towards front leg. And then depending on where you are, you might let the hips play just a little bit. You only want to try to keep, sometimes in yoga we go to some places we don't ordinarily go. A good rule of thumb is to try to keep the SI joints. It's where the legs connect into the spine, the triangle. You want to try to keep that nice and stable because once it gets unstable, it's hard to fix. Yeah. We can set the shoulder, we can stretch hand high, either looking down to the ground off to the side or up to the sky. Again, another hard pose here, in my opinion, is the hardest of the standing poses, the classic standing poses. So trying to keep that easeful quality to the breath as we hold the shape. Coming out easily as we frame front foot with both hands. Taking a big step back as you find your low lunge. And from low lunge back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa, stretching straight back, or maybe choosing that child's pose instead. In whatever shape you choose, different ways to hold these things. You can hold it in stillness, just seeing what comes up. I'll do that sometimes. Other times I like to stir it up a little bit. Wherever you are, always feeling free to stay there. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step, or take a jump front. Take a breath to find light. Exhaling, folding. Yogi's choice here. Actually, let's do this thing first. Let's go wide at the feet. Catching opposite elbows, swinging it from side to side, just getting into hips. Changing the cross of the elbows, keep swaying side to side. And then back to center. Now we have yogi's choice. Hands on thighs is the safe way to do the roll up. If you have lots of good core engagement and the low back doesn't do all the work, you might let the arms hang free as we roll it on up. We get to our stand, relaxing those shoulders, 2 hands high in the air as if we're holding a big ball. We'll take 3 big full body breaths. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. And then I'll invite you to inhale, hands to heart. Hold for the exhale. 1 more breath, breath in. And breath out. And then hands by our side. One of my fave moves here, it's a dance move that you can sneak in any time. Hands find the hips, fingers face down, and we're just circling those hips.
This is not what Shakira meant when
It's
she
not what
said
she
hips
meant.
don't lie.
I
Just
don't
so
know.
we're clear.
This is the yoga instructor version thereof. And then we'll take it the other way. Now let's pretend we have an extra set of hands keeping our hips stable. This is those Hindu statues with 4 arms. Let's pretend we're one of those statues maybe, but we're a moving statue. Real hands come to the shoulders, and we're just going to circle our shoulders. And then taking those shoulder circles the other way. And then let's go back center. Let's stretch our arms in the air like we either do or don't care. We'll take hips one way, shoulders go the other. I call this the Burning Man Asana. I think it's online this year. I'm sure there'll be lots of good dance music. This might be a move you sneak in. I don't know. It's fun being a dad with your daughter because you can make really corny jokes
Yep.
and they groan, which makes it even more fun. Take it the other way. Nice. And look at that good youthful motion there. And then back to center. And hands by our side. From here, let's work another standing pose, just talking about dancing here. So let's work the baby dancer. And let's do it from a thin place just to challenge that balance. Having said that, if wide feet works for you, stay right where you are. So we jump it in. We shift weight onto left foot. Left hand finds the hip. Again, we bend that left leg. A bent knee is a better balancing knee. We lift up that foot. We'll start with a quad stretch. You probably have done this in some Group X classes as we catch the foot. We hug the heel to the glute. Feel that nice stretch in the front of the thigh. Feeling free to hang out right here, we can start to pitch the body forward, kicking the foot into the hand as we deepen the back of the heart. Either keeping hand on hip or maybe hand finds the heart. Maybe hand stretches out in front. And this is called Natcharanjasana, the baby version. I'll invite you to bring hand back to hip if it left the hip. Let's come back up. And let's swing this right knee front. And again, let's find that psoas strengthener. The toe faces down, either staying there or we lean a little bit forward as we go long through that leg. Lifting that leg just a little higher. Now let's land it in a cross step. So that front leg's crossed over the back leg. From here, let's find a cross-legged forward fold. Arms out to the side, inhaling. On the exhale, leading with the heart. As we fold. Again, feel free to use props, otherwise keep the knees super bent. Take a breath to lift chin and tail, and then folding and holding. Relaxed neck, heavy head, as the shoulders draw up and back towards the hips. In this shape, any amount, I'll invite you to circle your hips. It could be a big circle, it could be a small circle, a fast circle, or a slow circle. Let it be your circle, giving your hips the circles that they want. And then taking that shape the other way. Now let's come back center and let's unwind the legs. As we step that front leg back, I think it's right leg is back, left leg is front. From here, let's walk our hands inside our feet as we make our feet parallel. Toes might angle in just a tad. Take a breath to lift chin and tail. And then folding and holding, either keeping the hands right where they are or scooting the fingers back towards the toes. As we hold this wide-angled forward fold, I'll invite you to rock your body weight front to back, heel to toe, without lifting toes or lifting heels, just seeing how you're balancing in this shape. And then I'll invite you to let some more weight collect towards the toes as you draw the energy at the inseams of the legs, where the legs connect, feel that engagement of the pelvic diaphragm, the mula bandha, as you draw the perineum towards the navel. It's like a solid ball of energy inside yourself. Not quite the same, but very similar to the Chinese Dantian, is that center of balance. As we hold this shape, I'll invite you to walk your hands to the back of your mat, right hand outside right foot, left hand catches the outside of the shin, 2 straight legs as we look under that armpit. Now adding on, I'll invite you to bend that far leg, that front leg, as we push into that back foot. Straightening the front leg, bending the back leg as we push into that front foot. Two straight legs. Let's release the shin and walk the hands through center. Now left hand outside, left foot, front foot. Right hand catches the outside of the shin. 2 straight legs as we look under that armpit. Now adding on as we bend that back leg, pushing into that front foot, that near foot. Straightening back leg, bending near leg as we push into that far foot. Two straight legs, let's keep the hands front. Let's lift up the heels and spin on the toes as we find our low lunge facing front. And another balance challenge here, keeping that back heel lifted as we bring hands to hips. And then once you have your balance, stretching those hands high for a high crescent lunge. In our high crescent lunge, let's add some difficulty here. As we bring our arms parallel to the floor, the palms face up. Let's take a little twist towards that front leg. Back through center, we'll take a little twist away. A couple more times. We can inhale through center and exhale into the twist. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then back to center. And we'll stretch those hands high to the sky. From here, one more balance challenge. Left hand comes by left hip. Let's take a little side bend to the left. Back through center, right hand, right, left hand up and over the head. We'll take a side bend to the right. We can inhale through center and exhale. Wow, this is hard.
So you just last this right now?
Last one. I played with it the other day. And then back to center. 2 hands high in the air. And then let's spin the palms out. We'll find our low lunge. And again, back to down dog as you will. You can take your time. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail end of your breath, looking between your hands as you step, or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding and holding. Let's widen our base. We'll toe heel the feet out. This time as we hold the forward fold, I'll invite you to walk your hands to the left and hold for a breath. Now walking hands through center, taking hands to the right and holding for a breath. Let's do one more thing on our forward fold. As we bring our hands center, we're going to bend that right knee deeply as we stretch long to that left leg. Straightening right leg, bending left leg as we stretch long to that right leg. Two straight legs, either working the assist with the hands on the thighs or soft knees as we slowly roll ourselves up. Tall through the crown, either keeping it wide or jumping thin like a pin. Squeezing the inner thighs together, let's take a side bend to the left, left hand by left thigh, right hand up and over. Inhale through center, second side. Couple more times, inhaling and exhaling. One more each way. And then back to center, two hands high in the air. And let's come back to that other theme. As we bring our arms parallel to the floor, we'll take a little twist to the left. Inhale through center, twist to the right. Hopefully I'm not going to knock into you. To the left. To the right. Inhaling through center, exhaling. And then back to center. And hands by our side. We'll work that baby dancer pose, second side, as we shift weight onto the right foot. Right hand finds the right hip. We bend the left leg. We reach back and catch that foot. Hugging the heel to the glute, feeling a nice stretch in the front of that front thigh, or the thigh of the bent leg. Feeling free to stay here, or we start to pitch our body forward. Kicking the foot into the hands to deepen the back of the heart. Either staying with hand on hip or hand finds the heart. Either keeping hand at heart or we stretch that arm long. If hand left the hip, it comes back to the hip. We can straighten ourselves up. We can swing this left thigh front, the toe points down. Either staying here or leaning a little bit forward as we go long through that leg. Lifting that leg a little higher. And then we'll land that foot in a cross step. Bending the knees, arms out to the side, inhaling. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to find length. And then folding and holding. Shoulders draw up and back towards the hips as we relax the neck and heavy the head. As we hold this cross-legged forward fold, any amount, I'll invite you to circle those hips. Could be fast, slow, big, small, just let it be all about your hips. Whatever they want, whatever they need. And then taking those circles the other way. Now coming back center, let's carefully unwind the legs as we step this front foot back, left foot back to find our low lunge. And then walking hands inside the feet, toes can angle in just a tad, just like in the sun salves. Let our breath lift you up. And then folding and holding, either keeping the hands right where they are or walking the fingers back towards the toes. As we hold this shape, connecting with and challenging your balance as you rock your body weight, heel, toe, toe, heel, staying grounded through the heel, grounded through the toes. And then I'll invite you to let maybe say 60% of your weight collect towards the toes, staying grounded through the heels. As you connect with the big toe side of the feet, drawing the energy up the inseams of the legs, and then finding that Mula Bandha. I sometimes think of the Mula Bandha as the underside of the Dantian. The Dantian is more the top part of it. Underside is that pelvic diaphragm engagement as you draw the perineum up towards the navel. Now let's borrow a triangle from the Shivananda tradition. I'll invite you to bring your right hand center. Left hand finds the hip to start the twist. We can set the shoulder. We can stretch hand high to the sky. Left hand comes center. Right hand finds the hip to start the twist. We can set that shoulder. We can stretch hand high as we take a big breath into our back. Right hand comes down. I'll invite you to lift up the heels as we spin on the toes, coming back to our low lunge facing front. And then moving towards high crescent lunge prep, finding our balance as we bring hands to hips. And then we can stretch those hands high to the sky. From here, let's bring arms parallel to the floor, the palms face up. Let's take a little twist towards that bent front leg. Inhale through center and we'll twist it away. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more each way. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And then back to center. Hands high to the sky. Let's work that hard one here. Right hand by right hip. We'll take a little side bend towards that bent front leg. We inhale through center. We take a side bend away. Take your time here. You can inhale through center and exhale. It's getting a wonderful stretch in that IT band. One more time each way. Last one. Whoa. I thought I was going to get through the sequence without falling. Two hands high in the air. And then we're going to spin the palms out as we find low lunge. And one more time tonight. Making your way back to Vinyasa as you will. And that's a tough sequence. Definitely feel free to find that child's pose. Just looking at where we are. In terms of the hour class, I'm going to suggest everyone finds a child's pose. Sits bones back to the heels. I'll suggest the arms in extension. As we stretch out our hips, we stretch out our shoulders. Great place to breathe into your back. Now, keeping your hips and heels just as they are, I'll invite you to walk your hands to one side as you stretch far hip to far heel. Now, walking your hands through center and finding that side bend in our child's pose the other way. Now walking hands center, let's walk the hands in and bring our feet off to the side. Let's find Tarasana. So long legs, the heels are apart. And we're going to move from Tarasana to Kurmasana, the tortoise pose. As we feed our arms underneath our shins, the palms face down. We can hinge at the hips, working neutral spine. Either staying in neutral spine or letting the spine round. Wherever you choose to work, there's a mantra with this shape. I go deep within to find all that I need. I go deep within to find all that I need. I go deep within to find all that I need. Now, unfeeding the arms underneath the legs. Let's come back up. This is the pose I absolutely love. And we're going to catch ankles. We're going to start to balance on the tailbone.
Oh, yeah, you do love this one.
I love this one. You might find peace sign fingers catching big toe. Maybe we start to move towards straight legs. I really love the way it feels. Everything, it's like all roads lead to Rome here as we really connect with that Dantian, that center of balance. From here, let's find a butterfly, in the air, and let's land that butterfly lightly, either catching the ankles or using your thumbs to open up the feet like a book. Take a breath to sit tall, and then finding a fold, hinging at the hips, at least initially, and either staying with neutral spine or letting the spine round. And we can work that same mantra in this shape. I go deep within to find all that I need. I go deep within to find all that I need. I go deep within to find all that I need. From here, let's bring it back up. Let's use our hands to close our legs. Straight through two legs, let's take the heels of our hands to our hips and give those hips a little knead, maybe light taps. And then I'll invite you to bring your hands to your low back. Let's give that low back a little love. And then let's do a long, slow roll down onto our backs. If you're near a back wall, I'll suggest come to the front of your mat so we can get a full body stretch here. Starting from tall spine, neutral spine, finding C-spine as we tuck tail and chin, laying each vertebrae down as if we're laying pearls onto a cushion. Or we get down, full body stretch as we point fingers and toes. And then on the exhale, finding your Shavasana as we sweep hands by our side, widening the thighs, giving your armpits lots of room to breathe, scooting the head back as you flatten the shoulders. Tip of the tongue now neutral in the mouth, a slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through the nose. Doing whatever else feels right and good for you tonight.
Pose I absolutely love.
And this is Josephine's favorite pose, and I don't blame her at all. So my personal practice, I'll usually try to do my Shavasana a good 10 minutes. Sometimes it becomes 15, sometimes it becomes 20. For the purposes of this class, I'll invite you to hold that Shavasana. In order to conclude what's going on here visually, I'm going to call Josephine out, and then we'll do a bow and we'll end the class. But again, feel free to hold your Shavasana at home. I'm going to ring these bells 3 times. At home, feel free to stay exactly where you are. Here in this room, I'll invite you to wiggle your fingers and toes as we invite more prana into our bodies. Now inviting that prana in towards center as we gently circle our wrists and our ankles. A little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shake of the hips. Whatever feels right and good for you as you lay on the floor. Now drawing one knee at a time in towards your heart as your hands catch your shins. And then using your thighs to massage your center of balance as you gently lift and lower your low back and hips. Now taking it side to side. And then rolling onto your side, long through an arm, for a long, slow breath here on the floor. I'll invite you to sigh it out through your mouth. And then neck relaxed, face soft, pushing your hands to claim a cross-legged sit. As we sit, I'll invite you to bring your hands onto your knees, pulling back with your hands to sit up straighter and taller. A slight tuck of the chin. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart and ending our practice as we started, watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I'll invite you to take a bow as you thank yourselves for practicing yoga and as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all for practicing with us tonight and the Bay Club. Great news is that we've opened the roof here in San Francisco, and I'm teaching some classes on the roof along with some other wonderful, wonderful teachers. It's a very nice space. It's tucked away in a little valley, so it's warmer than you might think. And I've taught 2 classes already and had great fun. So if you have that capacity to get to the club, and that's something that you feel comfortable doing, please do. Lots of precautions. It's a good time. So anyway, thank you again so much, and have a great night.